Peace and blessings. I am Brandi L coming to you for another podcast episode. And today we are discussing dealing with difficult people. The science, because it really, there's a science to it. There's an art and there's a science. And today I'm just going to lightly talk about the science of dealing with difficult people. You're going to be faced with difficult people in this life. Those who deplete us. They drain us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, psychologically. Those who kill our vibe, energy vampires. That is who I speak of when I say difficult people. The key is understanding why difficult people behave the way they do. I've come to learn that most difficult people are assholes for a reason. Typically, difficult people, they are really good people. They're good folks. They're good guys. They're good women with good hearts, legitimately. But they may just be having a bad day. That's sometimes the case. Sometimes. But other times, there's real underlying issues going on. And you just never know what someone may be going through. They may be sick. A lot of times when people are difficult, they're sick. And you have no idea that they're sick. They may be struggling with a disease or a virus or an infection or something that they're not talking to you about. They may be facing struggle, financial struggle, eviction, job loss, debt. They may be facing jail time or a lawsuit or some type of legal issues. That's a huge stressor that causes regular good people with good hearts to suddenly become difficult people. And understand, all of us are difficult at some point in our lives. So when I talk about difficult people, I'm talking to everyone, about everyone, for everyone to grow and to learn and to transcend. Because we've all been difficult at some point in our lives. That's just the nature of this planet. That's the nature of life in this world. But some people are difficult, because there was the death of a loved one. A lot of people, case in point, the recent incident with Kanye West. I'm not going to go into his business because I really don't know the man. I don't know him. I don't know if this is a publicity stunt or, what have you. It's not my place to judge him. But I will say, as someone who has experienced the loss of a mother, you have no idea how you are going to deal with or be affected by death in the family. The death of a father, the death of a mother, the death of a child, watching an uncle die or an aunt or a cousin, or watching someone lose their life before you. Until you've experienced that, it's a unique situation. And it's like, I've talked about it before, the motherless child club or the fatherless child club. You're not in it till you're in it. And when you're in it, no one could have prepared you for how you'll feel. Some people, death of a loved one, it drives them to drink. It drives them to drugs. It drives them to sexual promiscuity. It drives you to all types of damaging behavior that you would not normally do. Again, no judgment, but I'm just trying to shed light on understanding why people behave the way they do. Psychology is a deep, layered concept. And I've said it before, none of us is one-dimensional. All of us are multi-dimensional. Human beings are not one-dimensional. So I say that to say you can be a great person with a great heart, educated, intelligent, healthy, and then all of a sudden something happens to you in your life and you fall off the deep end and just do some crazy shit, or become a bitter, difficult person. It doesn't mean that you are this horrible demonic entity. It just means that sometimes, things happen that cause you to be knocked off your square. And so we're just talking about that today. Sometimes, depression, mental health issues are real. Let me tell you, they are real in the field. And a lot of times we don't talk about it as, get over it. Get over it. Whatever it is you're going through, I don't know what you're going through, but get over it. And sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes we have to use compassion because mental health is huge. You have a lot of people who are dealing with undiagnosed mental health issues, and they don't even realize that they are struggling with manic depression or bipolar, or they're just severely depressed. Again, different things can happen in your life. A breakup, loss of income, a loss of a job, sometimes just being exposed to shit that in life that is too heavy for you to carry, will just cause you to fall into this state of mind. But I think it's important to understand that no one can knock you off your square without your consent. Even difficult people have no power over you if you're at peace with yourself. And so never allow anyone's emotional baggage or negative toxicity to contaminate you to the point where you're becoming difficult too. So here's where I speak to you if you are a difficult person. And a lot of times people know that they're difficult. You know that you're difficult. This is how you know if you're difficult. If people don't fuck with you, you're probably difficult. People don't like dealing with you. They don't like speaking to you. They don't come to your events or hang out with you or come to the house, or they don't really call you or text you or chop it up with you or politic with you, whatever, because they don't want to fuck with you because you're difficult. Good people with good hearts, loving people, compassionate people, everyone is drawn to. Everyone is drawn to the light. Even negative people are drawn to the light. Darkness is always drawn to the light. One of the things about being an empath or being someone who is a spiritual beacon of light is you will always draw darkness to you. Darkness is always drawn to the light. That's the way it is. And so sometimes when you draw a lot of negative people to you, you have to take a good look in the mirror and a good assessment of yourself. And I think the key is to hold your own vibrational frequency so high that low vibrating energy or energetic beings or entities, i.e. difficult people, are unable to come into your dimension. That's just a caveat of the law of attraction, is that we attract the vibrational frequency of where we are. So understand that you cannot see vibes, you cannot see, but you can feel, you can intuit, you can notice and observe by what you're seeing. So if you see, for instance, really wealthy people, they hang with and associate with other wealthy people, right? And even with race and gender and sexuality, you have, a lot of times so-called black people, just they are naturally inclined and attracted to other black people and black culture, music, attitudes and perspectives. Chinese people are really interested in Chinese culture, Chinese food, Chinese music, Chinese customs. Okay, we all are attracted to where we are. We're attracted to that which looks like us, that which it feels comfortable. It's vibrating within our range and our frequency. So if you're just happy-go-lucky, you're positive, you're optimistic, you wake up and you're ready to conquer the world, a lot of times you'll be annoying as shit to somebody who's negative. They won't even really fool with you because they're not vibrating on your frequency, and vice versa. You will not be drawn to them. You will have no interest, zero interest in hanging out with them, spending any type of time around them. Every now and then, you see two people who are different and you're like, I don't understand how that worked. But more often than not, we resonate with our vibrational frequency. And so negative people, listen, everyone you encounter is doing the best they can from their own level of consciousness. A lot of people, they have no idea that they are perpetuating their own karma. Most difficult people don't realize that they keep their own cycle of negative karma rotating. That wheel of karma, it always perpetuates itself. So essentially, if you're negative to somebody is going to be negative to you. Now that person who you were negative towards, they may not get you back. The get back might not be instant, As Kiki Palmer says, but the gag is, it will come back to you. And likewise, if you are really sweet and honorable and you give out beautiful, optimistic, wonderful light energy, you're sweet to be around, you're fragrant, and you are a beacon of light. Those are the experiences and people that you are going to not only attract, but that's the kind of energy that you're going to continually perpetuate in your life. And so a lot of times, difficult people may just think they're getting somebody else back, or somebody pissed them off, so they're going to just be an asshole, or they think it's cute to be a bitch because somebody told them or conveyed the concept and the idea that being a bitch, you get further by being a bitch. So they give this off not knowing it's to their own detriment. They have no idea that they are just casting coals of fire upon their own karmic cycle. Some of them know and just don't care, but we are a little bit more evolutionary evolved and we know better. I say be a lighthouse, a beacon of hope. Be a lighthouse. In other words, don't go tit for tat, but instead teach people through demonstration. Be a lighthouse. Don't take any of it personal. Don't take anything personal. In the 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz, he reminds us, don't take anything personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. And it's a great book. By the way, the 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. It just talks about, keeping your word impeccable, being observant and conscientious of your own words and energy that you give off and what you say. But more importantly, he talks about, don't take anything personal that people say or do, because really a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. It's not even about you. It's not always about you. And And in refusing to take things personally, you diffuse the ego. I like how Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, the ego it stands for edging God out, but the ego is this contrived, invisible entity that makes us believe we're more important than we are, makes us believe we're more than we actually are. And don't give difficult people energy. A lot of times, difficult people, as in difficulty in general, is like a fire, and fire can only thrive and perpetuate with energy and oxygen. So if you don't give it oxygen, it cannot exist. It starves. If you want to end anything, you starve it. Financially, you starve it of food, you starve it of oxygen, you starve it of water, you starve what you want to die. But when you feed someone and you give them energy and you play to their woes, and you fight fire with fire, and they're pissing you off and they're assholes, so you're going to be an asshole. And they're arguing with you, so you're going to argue with them. Guess what happens? Everyone loses. And now you've been pulled into their drama. If you can't remove yourself from the situation because they are either A, your boss, or B, your family, or C, a coworker, etc., 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 right? Then you have to change your perspective. See the experience as an evolutionary opportunity, because that's exactly what it is. Again, let me run that by you again, because you might have missed it. If you can't remove yourself from a situation with difficult people or a difficult person because they may be your spouse or family member, this is your mom, right? I know some of you got some difficult ass mothers, or they're your father or your brother, or they are your boss, or someone you have to work with. You guys share office space or whatnot, and you have to see them every day. You have to come into contact with them. You have to do business with them, right? This is just where you are in your life. So you have to deal with them. Change your perspective. The great Dr. Maya Angelou says, if you can't change a situation, then change your attitude, but don't complain, because that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do shit to change the situation. Either you remove yourself out of the situation, or you change your attitude. You change the way you look at this person. That cliche, change the way you see life and life will change, But the qualities in another that leave us, drained and depleted or pissed off are often those aspects of ourselves that we repress. The qualities in another that leave us drained or pissed off are often those aspects of ourselves that we repress. Now that's some psychology for your ass, because we don't want to deal with that. In other words, you only see shit in other people that you realize is in yourself. Because if it's not in you, you really don't pay attention to it, right? Like, for instance, liars always think someone is lying to them. Have you ever noticed that? Cheaters, people who are cheating, they always think somebody's cheating on them, So they're quick to pay attention to the shit because they're doing it, right? Somebody who is just, on a variety of subjects, but who we are, especially things that stand out that we don't like about ourselves. You have a lot of people that hate themselves. That's a whole nother show. But you have a lot of people that really do not like themselves. Now, they're not going to come out and say, I don't fuck with me. I don't like me. They're not going to say that. No one is going to say that. But their behavior, their actions, how they treat people who look like them or remind them of themselves, that is a good indicator of whether they love themselves or hate themselves. A lot of people are resentful of their past or resentful of things they've had to grow through. So, and I meant that, what I said, grow through, grow through, same thing. And so when we become resentful and bitter about situations, we get difficult. So, in other words, you hear statements like, well, it was good enough for me, so it'll be good enough for you, right? I didn't have access to A, B, and C, so you don't get to have access to A, B, and C. I have to pay taxes. You should have to pay taxes. You know, that kind of thing. I have to get up and go to work. Then you should have to get up. I don't think it's fair that they get to, conversations and concepts and phrases of that nature. You can see where their minds are. And recognize the petty tyrant. That's another phrase, another name for a difficult person is a petty tyrant. The petty tyrant in your life. Recognize the petty tyrant in your life as a teacher who can teach you what you haven't yet mastered. See, we know what we know, but we have no idea what we don't know. We know what we know, but it's a whole lot of shit we don't know, and we don't even realize we don't know it. So we're going through life thinking we know everything. When you're 13, you think you know everything. You don't know shit, right? When you're 18, you think you just got it all figured out. You don't know shit. And you know how I can tell you don't know shit? Because look at where you are financially. Look at where you are mentally. Look at where you are spiritually. Look at where you are emotionally. Look at your relationships. Are you where you want to be? Are you living where you want to be? That is an indicator if you've reached your level. And if you haven't reached your level, not my level, not what your mother or your dad or your professor said, but what your level is, where you want to be, then you have a lot to learn. I say it all the time. It does not matter how deep and spiritual you are. If you are broke and sick and on the bottom, then baby, you don't know shit. That's impotent substance. That is impotent substance. Until you are where you want to be, you're living where you want to live, financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. Until you're involved in the type of day-to-day relationships and you're working on your craft that you love, that you are passionate about, you're working on and in your purpose, then you have not arrived. And oftentimes, even when you believe that you have arrived, you still have not arrived. You've never arrived. You've arrived when you're dead, because you will be done. It will be finished. You can't always tell difficult people, to square up. Catch this fade, right? That's the first reflex to dealing with a difficult person. You're in the natural. You just want, square up and catch this fade real quick. But understand, let me tell you a quick little story. I think I've shared it with you guys before, but I had one of the most difficult supervisors when I was younger. And I was just entering the corporate world, corporate America. I was very young. I was in my 20s. I was a new mother. I was newly married, fresh out of college, didn't know shit, breath still smelling like Similac, still wet behind the ears. But again, You couldn't tell me shit, right? I thought I knew it all. That's all of us. In our 20s, you think you know shit, and you don't know shit. I'm here to tell you, you don't know shit. And I don't care if you don't like it. Now, I had the most difficult supervisor. She was racist. Categorically, when I say racist, I'm not just saying, oh, you know, she just didn't like black people. And no, she was a racist in the sense that not only did she not like black people, and I'm going to call her out, her name was Trish, I'll just say that. Not only did she not like black people, mind you, I was in the Bible Belt South, Confederate red state, Atlanta, Georgia, right? And not only did she not like black people, she didn't give black people opportunities to advance. Okay, that's real racism. Okay, real racism deals with power and people who hold the key to you being promoted, or you breaking through the quote unquote glass ceiling. Things of that nature. That's racism. Structural racism. A real racist doesn't necessarily care about your skin color. They're all about supremacy for theirs and their own, for their children. They're about the advancement of their own to the detriment of those who don't look like them. Okay, but that's a whole nother show. We won't go there. Back to my story. My supervisor was a racist. She was an asshole. She was the biggest bitch of them all. She would tell you that she didn't give a shit about you. Not in those words, but in her, just basically the way she handled you. And nobody could stop her. And so I say all that to say, for years and years and years, no matter what I did, it was never good enough. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how smart I worked, no matter how much value I provided the company, the corporation that I worked for. I mean, and I would go hard in the paint. Do you hear me? I would go hard in the paint. I would get there earlier than anybody else. I would stay later than anybody else. I would be given 10 times the amount of work that some of my counterparts, white girls, counterparts were getting, but I would steadily and consistently see them getting promotions, getting raises. I mean, and that's a real bitter pill to swallow when you look at someone who comes in years after you, you train this person, and then they get promoted, they earn more money than you, and before you know it, they're over you, and you train them, and they're younger than you. And they came in with less skills. So here you are with more skills, more ability, more knowledge, more experience, again. But because you're black, because you're a woman, and because the person, this petty tyrant, this difficult person, holds the keys to your ability to rise and transcend that low level, that entry level, you are at their whim. But I say all this to say, I'm so thankful and grateful for that experience, because today, as I speak to you, I'm an entrepreneur. I do not work for anyone. I work for myself. I don't have to answer to anyone. I answer to the Most High. Okay? I get up when I get ready to get up. I go to bed when I get ready to go to bed. When I'm tired, I rest. When I want to work and I want to give 120%, I give 120%. Bottom line, again, everything I learned, I'm thankful for Trish. Because not only did that difficult person push me and force me to transcend, but I learned how to not be. I learned how to not talk to people. I learned, you know what? This is what you don't do. This is not how you treat people. I don't care if it's a woman. I don't care if it's a Jew, someone who's Chinese or Muslim or LGBT or trans. It does not matter. If they are experienced and they are knowledgeable and they know what the fuck they're doing, you promote them. You pay them. If they're adding value to your brand, then you have to take care of them, regardless of whether you like them or don't like them or whatever your hang up is. So again, sometimes, folks, those petty tyrants are actually your greatest teachers, and they're going to teach you the greatest lessons. But it oftentimes you have to go through the shit and look back, and then you're like, wow. You won't see it while you're embroiled and immersed in it, but when you come out of it, then you will see the value of that interaction with that difficult person. But difficult people are our greatest teachers. And those who have to allow, those people who have to have the last word. Just remember, you don't have to have the last word all the time. Again, those people who have to have the last word, in an argument. But I said, okay, well, whatever. What I said, like I said, allow them to have the last word. Allow them. But learn from that interaction. Learn from that experience. This is not how you're gonna be. And this is not how you want to be. This is how not to be. Those with road rage. Classic difficult people. Those with road rage. Just get over and allow them, to get gone. Just remember, you don't be the asshole cutting people off or not allowing folks to get over. What damn difference does it make? I say it all the time. If you're driving like a bat out of hell, and because you're trying to get to work or you're trying to get to wherever you're trying to get and you're late, 9 times out of 10, you're already late. So you have to adopt the attitude, I'll get there when I get there. I'm not going to kill myself or anybody else or wrap my car around a tree, so I can be somewhere a couple of minutes early or on time. 9 times out of 10, if you have to do all of that, you're already late. And you're just putting your life in danger and someone else's life in danger. So again, if you're one of those people, understand that you're difficult. And do you like when people do that shit to you? Cut you off on the road, cut you off on the freeway or the belt line or won't allow you into the lane or, things like that. The victim, classic difficult psychological type. The victim. Allow them to woe is me. Allow them to get their woe is me on, right? But don't feed that learned helplessness. The best response to a victim is no response. The best response to the woe is me personality, the victim, is no response. Eventually, they won't text or call or come to you any longer because you aren't feeding that ego. See, I don't even really come into contact with difficult people any longer because I don't have to. I don't have to deal with them. So that's why I can give you this talk from experience. There was once upon a time I was surrounded by difficult people. And every now and then I am exposed to a difficult person, but not for long. Because I don't feed them. I'm not gonna pat your ass. I'm not gonna feed you. I'm not gonna give you any energy. I am a master at ignoring people. I have the gift. I'm gifted. I am gifted in ignoring people. I'm brilliant at it. I've learned how to make someone believe they don't even exist. And I'm not proud of that because I hate to have to treat someone like that, But for those types of personalities, that's what you have to do. Remember, you can't fix people. You cannot fix people. You cannot fix your boyfriend. You cannot fix your bae. You cannot fix your daddy, your mother. You cannot fix anyone. Because first of all, no one is broken to be fixed. Secondly, none of us was put here to fix people, quote unquote. Everyone is the way they are for a reason. You can only love people. Love people. Love people. You can only love them. You teach them. You change them by loving them. And compassion is an attribute of the strong, highly evolved soul who sees opportunity for healing and peace and love in every situation. All of you quote unquote Christians, God-fearing Christians out there, you don't have to beat anyone over the head with a Bible or a sermon or tell them you need to do this or you need to do that. Just be Christ-like. Christ didn't judge anyone. And he hung with the drunkards and the prostitutes, and the revelers. And how did he change them and get them to follow him? Was through loving them. For you so-called Muslims, you don't need to hit anyone over the head with the Quran. Just be like Muhammad. Be like the prophet. Just be like the prophet. That's how you get people to follow you and love you and change, because they see the light in you. So difficult people in your life are just as divine as those who provide you with encouragement and support. Yeah, we love all the wonderful people who love us back and encourage us and, like us and do what we do and are into what we're into, but we don't grow from those people. And that does not mean that difficult people are not valuable, because they are. The bully in your life, pushing your fear and your panic buttons, they might just be God in disguise. Yeah. Difficult people are God in drag, teaching you how to rely on your own wits and how to transcend that difficult situation. We only grow with a little resistance. Not when shit is sweet. That's not when we grow. We grow through resistance. Pearls are made with grit. Grit is what forms pearls. Pressure is what forms diamonds. Pressure, resistance, difficulty, difficult people. So you mad or not? In terms of the difficult people, it's like Liz Gilbert's take on the soulmate. I love it. She says a true soulmate is a mirror. The person who shows us everything that is holding us back. That's your soulmate. Not the person who lovey-dovey and I'm kissing you and I'm loving you and I'm sexing you. No, the soulmate is the person who shows you everything that is holding you back. So be aware, anyone who's in your life in any capacity is valuable. And those we judge to be, unfortunate or evil or difficult, the assholes, the racists, the pompous jerks, the bitches, the just idiots, the imbeciles, the dumbasses, whatever you want to call it. Excuse my French, but I like to keep it real and just come to you on a level you can relate and understand. But those individuals can teach us our greatest lessons. Greatest lessons. You're going to learn it from those who give you the hard time. So I'm not saying go look for them and seek them out and you're like, oh, hey, you're a difficult person. Come on, because you're going to teach me. No, but when you're faced with it, understand and see it for what it is. That difficult people teach us things we didn't know we had to learn. Peace, blessings. See you next week.